Hello,
Hi.
am I audible and visible? Hello, am I audible and visible?
Yeah, you're audible, and I'm fine, right? My audio and
Yeah, yeah.
video is visible.
Perfectly, perfectly. So, namaste, sir, and welcome to Bharatiya Youth Face of India Award. And more than welcoming you, let me congratulate you for being the awardee in the prestigious Bharatiya Youth Face of India Award and bagging the title of Bharatiya Youth Face of India. More than an award, more than a title, it's a recognition. So, we'll start with the interview by
Absolutely.
introducing yourself. Yeah, by introducing yourself. So we would request you to introduce you to our audience.
Great. So, hi, good evening, guys. My name is Mehrzaad Mogrelia. I am one of the awardees of Bharatiya Youth Face of India under the categories of emerging authors. By profession, I am a financial crime investigator, which means I investigate various frauds at the corporate levels or related to governments. And I'm also one of the youngest in terms of holding that credential in the world. And on the professional front, I have around 4 years of experience with audit, taxations, and accounting in the accounting industry.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So there were few questions which our audiences asked us as soon as we posted your poster. So we'll be asking you those questions plus another bunch of questions which we have prepared for you. All of those combined, right? So the first question, obviously, which is there on the plate is about your journey so far, right? About your journey being there from the starting till today's date regarding your category specifically. So the audience and all of us wanted to know that what was your journey, how your journey looked like.
So that's my life journey or the author's journey. So I just wanted to
Authoring
clarify.
journey, authoring journey, authoring journey.
So I started writing when I was 18 years of age. Well, actually, what happened is I did not intend to take up writing as a hobby like any time throughout my life. What happened is I had fractured my leg in the 11th standard, and obviously I couldn't move out for a month or so. So that's when I said that, better that an idle, as it's always said that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Well, mine turned out to be a literary treasure house. So I took up writing back then to just pass my time as a thing to pass my time. And slowly by slowly, it became into a hobby. And later on, I worked as a freelance journalist for my community newspaper, the Parsi Times. And post that, I started writing short stories, different articles covering events. And finally, last year, I had this. So when I started my literary journey, I always had this dream that I should be writing one book. Well, I have always been fascinated by murder mystery thrillers, and people who know me closely know that I'm pretty much fascinated and keep on reading different novels in this particular genre. But then I said that, might as well take up a different style writing poetry, or my rhyming schemes are pathetic. So I started writing free verse poetry during the pandemic time because I felt that, with the kind of uh, fear that is going around, some kind of positivity or a different perspective towards life is needed. And which is when I penned down my first book, which is called A Quest Called Life, which is an anthology of poems that encompasses different events, people, and moments that impact our lives and helps us to look at life with a different perspective. So that's been my literary journey so far. And I'm also penning down my second book, which is a murder mystery, which will come out soon, maybe sometime next year. So that's been my literary journey so far. And to recognize this effort for my debut book, I have so far been not only we've sold 500 crossed the landmark of 500 copies, but we've also been recognized with around 15 awards for a single book as well. So that's been
That's
my
great.
literary.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great. So when we talk about journey, so there are obviously some hindrances, some problems, some obstacles which comes into your path and comes into your way. So we would love to know about your problems, your those obstacles, and how you overcome those obstacles.
Right. So I feel that the biggest obstacle for any artist or any writer, for that matter, is procrastination, which is something that I faced as well. Which means that you continuously, you get an idea, but then you say that, let's execute it tomorrow, or maybe sometime later. But that becomes an issue because once you get an idea and you say that you're going to do it tomorrow, it means that the idea has vanished. So to overcome that obstacle, I made a schedule. I made a 20-day schedule to complete my book, which means that within those 20 days, I need to I need to not only finish all the poems, but also arrange them in such a way that they kind of make sense. Because poetries are also a kind of story, in the form of story. It means that if you don't have a sequence to it, random poetry is just kept anywhere in the middle of the order will really not make sense, and it might not appeal to the reader. So I made a 20-day schedule within which I allocated certain amount of time from my day, like around say 2 or 3 hours to finish my book. And with the help of that schedule, I was able to complete my book within the targeted time that I had set for myself. So because personally, I believe that I always set certain targets for what I have to complete with, without which I believe that you're not going to work at that particular pace, and your tasks are always going to be incomplete. So making a schedule is always helpful. Secondly, whenever we believe that our minds are always sharp, but that is exactly not the case. So whenever we get a particular idea, it's always advisable that we pen it down somewhere or the other. Like I had to pen down for 20 ideas for 25 poems. I had almost used a 200-page book. Like I used to scribble ideas and scratch them off, write another idea, scratch them off again, till it made sense to me. Till it made sense to me from a third-person perspective as well. So write them down, write each idea down, write each point down, write each character description down, till you know it makes sense to you from a third-person perspective. So that's what I believe were the two major hindrances for me, and I was able to overcome with the use of certain techniques, which I just spoke about.
That's pretty good takeaway for all of us. Okay, so like for all the budding authors, those who want to start their journey as an author, or those who are looking for being an author, right? So what would you like to say them as an advice?
Advice to all the young and budding authors, and to all those who've already started the literary journey, is just be yourself. Often we find that we go on to copy someone else. Like, obviously, we all have inspirations in different fields of life. Like, my inspiration in the literary field is someone, maybe a Dan Brown or Jeffrey Archer, or someone of that kind or Agatha Christie, someone who's into mystery novels, murder mystery thrillers. But in that process, we often try to copy their style of writing, which I feel is not appropriate, because each one of us has our individual style of writing. So we need to stick to that particular style, what suits us, and the style which we think that is the best way to appeal to our readers. So just be yourself, be original, let your ideas flow. No matter how stupid the idea might sound, it might really be a brilliant idea. So never discard that idea until it absolutely doesn't make sense to you. Because sometimes wacky ideas give you great story plots. That's what a lot of great authors have stated as well. So just be yourself, enjoy your writing, and don't procrastinate.
That's absolutely right. So when we say writing, so there are two types of writer or two types of author. The first one being those who write what they wanted to write, and the second one being those who write what the audience wanted. So according to you, what is the perfect fit? To write what you want to write, or to write what the audience want to read?
I think, so obviously, as you stated, there are two styles of, two categories of authors that are there. what I believe and what I've always incorporated into my writings is a blend of both the people. So basically, when I sit to write something, it's not that what comes to my mind I should write. It's also you need to put yourself into a third person, into the shoes of a third person perspective, and you need to try to understand that I've written something, I've written a piece, I've written a, let's say, a 5-page short story or a 6-page short story or even a 2-page short story. Is it making sense? And is the message that I want to convey to the people, is that getting conveyed in that particular plot? So to overcome that, what I've always followed is not only in my literary career so far, but also in my professional and personal life, is I always try to put out certain questions that I have, which is the 4 Ws, if the people have heard of it, which is what, why, who, and how. So 3 Ws and 1 H. So always try to make a concept note according to that and say that, is my story creating the kind of impact that I actually intended for it to create through my writing or through the plots that I've introduced. So it has to be a blend of both. I mean, put yourself in a third person perspective and just look at it. Read as a normal reader and as an unbiased reader. Or if that doesn't work, get a close friend or a family member to do that. Like I always sometimes I always take my mother's help for viewing certain stories or whatever short stories I write, because she has a great perspective on different stories. Or sometimes I have a few friends who are interested in this field and who I know will give me an unbiased perspective on that. So I always do that. I always make them read it to see that if my message is getting conveyed. And that's how I improve upon my writings, and that's how I've been able to create an impact so far through my writings.
Okay. That's pretty good. So when, like, talking about apart from the authoring segment and apart from the professional life, if we wanna ask who is Mehrzaad, like who is the real Mehrzaad? What about your hobbies? Some of your hobbies. What about your interest and something which is yet very common but unknown?
Right. So the real Mehrzaad, I mean, outside my career, which I'll appear pretty serious, I'm a very chilled out person. And I'm like to make jokes and do certain things. I mean, I love to crack jokes, which my friends really find irritating, by the way. So I love to do that. I'm a ardent quizzer. I quiz. I've been quizzing since I was 16 years of age. So I love quizzing. I love reading a lot. I love researching. And besides that, I'm also an athlete. I'm also a swimmer. I've represented not only my not only Indian universities and Indian colleges, but also abroad when I was studying in Sydney. I've also represented universities at the university level swimming championships, and I've always been an athlete as well. So I've always believed that I'm a kind of an all-round package, and the biggest quality that I have that not a lot of people know is that I'm a very good listener. So basically, I'll always listen to whatever the issues are. I mean, before coming up with some answer, before putting up my opinion or point forward. So that's something that not a lot of people know about me. So that's
Okay.
kind of me outside the serious professional or literary field that I am.
Okay, that's pretty nice to hear. So let me tell you something about the this live session. So once this live session gets over, this Instagram live will be featured on our IGTV. Same will be going into our YouTube channel. The links will be shared with you and with all of you. And same will be going into the podcast platform. These links will be shared with you and with all of the audiences so far. So apart from that, the very last few questions to you. So let's say there is an individual, those who wanted to write a plot, write a book, eventually his own self-published book, but he has no idea, no clue regarding how to start, from where to start, and why to start, and whom to approach, and etc. etc. So what could be that probable easy steps for him?
Right. So basically, I mean, that's something I also encountered. So the first step is thorough research on the publishing market. which kind of publishers offer. So self-publishers, self-publishing houses, there are a lot of packages that are available, but all packages are not going to be effective. So you need to understand that what is good according to your budget. Secondly, what are the benefits that various publication houses offer vis-a-vis the cost that you're incurring. So that are two major steps that something you need to undertake. Make a list or a database of all those publication houses. Make a list of the packages, and then sit and compare each one of them. Right? Which one is going to be beneficial for you? Once that is done, then you start approaching and then you start talking to those publishers. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of so self-publishing is a very tricky aspect of publishing. So when you sit and talk to those publishers, you understand that are they offering what they've written? Are they offering the same thing or not? If not, of course, you cross them out and you put them aside. So once you understand that this is the package and the kind of marketing package and the publishing package I want to go for, you select that and then you understand that this is something I want to opt for. The next step would be always have a contract with the publishing house. Every detail that is discussed between the author and the publisher needs to be put on a piece of paper and signed by both the parties. So what happens is a lot of people do things without contracts, and that then creates a problem, especially when it comes to royalty payments. A lot of publishing houses do not pay you the required royalties, and then you're like after them filing legal cases, and then the entire hassle happens. So make sure that there's a proper contract that is signed between the author and the publishing house. And lastly, ensure that whatever timelines are set out in the contract are being delivered to the author itself. So that's kind of the nutshell in which we need to go about when it comes to self-publishing packages.
Okay, got it. So I hope the process will be very helpful for all those people, those who are looking to publish their first book maybe, or are pretty much confused regarding how to start in terms of publishing their own book. So I guess so clearly mentioned some of the few steps which we can follow and to get into the industry of the authoring segment. So very last question which I wanted to ask you is obviously that what is your future course of action? Like you already told your second book is going to be released in a year, but what is the 5-year long-term plan of your, like what exactly are you making an aim for yourself?
My 5-year long-term plan is something that is not actually related to the literary field as such. So basically, this is my kind of my side gig, is what we call it. So my 5-year long-term plan is obviously to establish myself in the financial crimes field, anti-money laundering department, and probably in the next 2 years, and then in the next 3 years, we'll move on to public sector investigations with the government. So that would be my 5-year plan. So that is my in short 5-year plan. So basically being a top financial crime professional by the time I turn 35. That's 33, between 33 and 35. So that's going to be my top 5-year plan. And in terms of where literary journey goes is, of course, publishing another couple of books at least in those particular 5 years, and probably trying really hard if one of them really make an impact to have one of them made into maybe a short film or a full feature film. So that's kind of my 5-year plan.
That's pretty nice. And just the closing note from your side to Bharatiya team, if any. So you can definitely share that.
I think you guys have been brilliant with the kind of award ceremonies that you all have had so far in recognizing the various talents and achievements of people in various fields. So congratulations, to all of you guys. Keep up the good work, and hopefully we will collaborate a lot more in the future as well. So guys, thank you so much for having me as a part of this interview.
Definitely, and thank you for being with us, and congratulations again. And yeah, namaste and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.